What is going on with Bitcoin? My God, the price of Bitcoin is going up, it's going down, it's down again. And I'm sure some of you guys are wondering kung tataas pa ba to o kaya pabagsak na yung presyo, and may iba naman sa inyo nagkakaroon na ng anxiety, may iba sa inyo umaasa na tataas pa. So let's try to make sense of all this information by looking at some of the charts that I look at to be able to determine where I think Bitcoin is going next. Now, before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that nothing I say is considered financial advice. Hindi ako financial advisor, at please guys, do your own research. Ang ginagawa ko lang dito ay share ko lang yung aking opinion, at ito yung mga information na tinitignan ko to be able to make my own decisions. And I'm just sharing it with you. You gotta make your own decisions based on your own research. Okay, so let's start. Ano ba ang presyo ng Bitcoin ngayon? Right now, Bitcoin is hovering, as of the time of this video, at a price of $58,000 per Bitcoin. The first thing we're going to look at is where has Bitcoin's price been over this entire 2024. At naalala mo nung January of 2024, nung nagkaroon na ng Bitcoin ETF, that's when we saw the price of Bitcoin surge to as high as $74,000 per Bitcoin. Ever since then, we're now hovering in the $60,000 to $58,000 level. So tignan nga natin itong chart na to, and I'll make it simple for you guys ha. Ito ang price ng Bitcoin since February, when we saw the price surge up towards the end of February. Now, by March all the way na to today, makikita mo dito that Bitcoin has hit an all-time high of about $74,000 and has dropped to even as low as $49,000 last August 5. Dahil that was a quick drop, tinitingnan ko na lang dito where the price action was hovering at. And pag tinignan mo dito, it showed support at around $52,000 to $53,000 per Bitcoin. And ever since then, it's been going up and down around the price range of mga $53,000 to $74,000 per Bitcoin. Ngayon, based on that, will the price go up or down? To be honest with you, nobody can tell. But at $58,000, for me, that's already a good price to be able to come in for those that want to be able to invest more money in Bitcoin, or if you haven't done so already, this is a good time to do so. Now, is this a safe bet or not? There is no such thing as a safe bet. There are always inherent risks in any investment you can make. Pero pag tinignan mo tong chart na to, you're at the lower end now of this price action, which is, in my opinion, relatively flat. And this is good because I look at this as an accumulation phase, and it's setting the new foundation or the new low of Bitcoin. Now, let's look at other charts to be able to determine where we think Bitcoin is going. So, one of the most popular charts that we look at is the monthly return chart. At dito sa monthly return chart that a lot of people have been referencing to, makikita mo dito that every year in September, red yung September or negative yung returns natin for Bitcoin. Only 3 years out of the 10 years have returned positive, and it wasn't even that much up. It was only up 2%, 4%, up to 6%. Every other year of September was negative. On average, Bitcoin will have a negative return every September. And the average return that we can expect is about minus 4.5%. So based on this, it's relatively safe to assume that we're going to have a red month again. And thus they call September Red-tember. So that means it's safe to assume that Bitcoin may drop from 58,000 by another 4.5%. So we're looking at around a price of Bitcoin for September of about $55,000 and change. And at that price, I'm going to plan to invest more money into Bitcoin. And it's a really good idea to be able to buy Bitcoin now in Red-tember because you're going to get a 5% discount pa on top of the price today. Now, why do I think that even at this price, at $58,000, it's still a good price to buy Bitcoin? Dahil, let's say, for example, that September does return green. Let's say 1 to 2%, and you bought today at $58,000. You're still going to have a better price by the time October comes around. Because in October, they call it Uptober. Because if you look at over the last 10 years, it only returned negative 2 years. But 8 out of the 10 years, in October, it's always been up. Let's say it does the average positive return of 22.9% in October. You can expect Bitcoin's price in October to be hitting $68,000 per Bitcoin. But what do the other charts say? Ngayon, pag tinignan natin yung total hash rate ng Bitcoin, we're at an all-time high. The hash rate measures the miner's difficulty. At pag mataas ang hash rate, it means that it requires more computational power to be able to mine for Bitcoins. And it also means that the higher the hash rate, the safer the Bitcoin network is. But a higher hash rate also means that it's more expensive to be able to mine for Bitcoins. So with that in mind, tignan natin ngayon yung mining costs. The average mining cost as of today is at roughly around $73,600 to $74,000 per Bitcoin. So that means that the price of Bitcoin at $58,000 is a lot less than the cost of mining. So ibig sabihin nun, maraming mga miners na mga maliliit ay malulugi dahil dito. They're gonna be mining Bitcoins, but it costs them more to be able to mine those Bitcoins. So it's actually better for people to just buy Bitcoins than to mine it at this price of $58,000 per Bitcoin. So that'll actually balance out where the smaller miners that cannot afford to mine for Bitcoins will eventually shut down, and the bigger miners and other miners that can afford to mine Bitcoins at a cheaper price or more effectively will be the ones that are going to be securing the network. Ngayon, what does this mean for the price of Bitcoin? As you can see, the price of Bitcoin versus the mining cost is directly correlated. And sometimes the mining cost is higher, sometimes the mining cost is lower. And whenever the mining cost is higher than the price of Bitcoin, it tells you that it's a good time to buy Bitcoin. That also means that the miners are going to be holding on to the Bitcoins they mined, and they're not going to be selling it until they are able to sell it at the price that's commensurate to their mining cost. And that means that we're basically getting Bitcoin at a cheaper price than if we were to mine Bitcoins. So, if you look at it, the average mining cost to Bitcoin price ratio is at 1.25%. Now, at the lowest in recent history, makikita mo dito in November 2022 na umabot ng 1.46% yung average mining cost and Bitcoin price ratio. So, at 1.25% where we're at, it could possibly go down to 1.45 or 1.46%. Now, if the average mining cost is about $73,000 to $74,000, then you can expect to see the Bitcoin price hit about $53,000 per Bitcoin. So at least makikita mo na kung saan yung low end mo or where you can enter Bitcoin in case it hits that number. Whether it will hit or not, we don't know. But definitely when you're looking at the price of about $55,000 to $53,000 per Bitcoin, that's a good price range already. Next chart I'm going to look at here is the net unrealized profit and loss chart. I like to look at this chart because pag makikita mo dito sa chart na to, every time it hits the point of capitulation in terms of net unrealized profit or loss, the price of Bitcoin hits the all-time low. And every time it hits point of euphoria or greed, dun mo makikita that the price of Bitcoin hits its all-time high. Where are we right now? We're at the optimism anxiety stage. At this price, this is already a safe area to be able to buy Bitcoin. Kasi from here, even if it goes down a bit more, which could happen in Redember, like I said, you're still coming in at a good price. Because from here, malaki pa yung upside potential mo dito. Pero syempre, pwede ka rin magkaroon ng konting loss for the short term while the Bitcoin cycle is moving along. Of course, if you look at it, the capitulation stage is the best time to buy. And I'm really proud of my girlfriend because at this time, she came in at the capitulation stage in January and she was able to buy Bitcoin at a price of about $19,000 per Bitcoin. So basically, when you buy Bitcoin during the capitulation stage, that's when you gain maximum profit. And hindi mo talaga mararamdaman yung loss kasi you'll always be at a profit from that point forward. And it happens only every 4 years. But at the price now, this is where it's a safer bet where you're not worried that Bitcoin is going to go to zero and it has still a good upside potential. All right, next, let's look at the Bitcoin dominance. If you look at it historically, Bitcoin has dropped from a high of 94%, 95% when Bitcoin started and there was no other cryptocurrencies at that time, and it dropped to a low of 32% in 2018. This was when a lot of altcoins started to come out. But it recovered to about a 70% dominance rate, meaning majority of the action is happening on Bitcoin in 2019 up to 2021. Now, when it hit the all-time high in 2021, humabol lahat ng mga altcoins and people were chasing after the moonshots. Yung mga altcoins that could go from 0 to 100,000%. Pero those altcoins are very high-risk coins. And look at what happened here. In the last year alone, makita mo, Bitcoin has been on an upward trend in terms of dominance. And this is because of the ETFs, because majority of the traditional investors are now investing only in Bitcoin. And that has caused the dominance of Bitcoin to go from a low of 46% in September 2023 to where it's at today at about 54.1% dominance. And I expect this dominance to be hovering around this range from today until the next all-time high of Bitcoin. So based on the information that we have in front of us, there's a possibility Bitcoin could drop to about $55,000 to even as low as $53,000 per Bitcoin. But the great news about this is that as the cost of Bitcoin mining keeps going up, the price of Bitcoin will have to catch up eventually to the cost of mining and even surpass the cost of mining, which is already at about $74,000 per Bitcoin. So you can expect that to be the ceiling of Bitcoin in the next few months, moving to 2025. And 2025, if we still believe in the 4-year cycle, is where we will expect to see that next all-time high of Bitcoin happen. And if all estimates are correct, that's when we can probably see Bitcoin going way above the $100,000 mark. And because of that, if you buy Bitcoin at any price today, anywhere from $53,000 to $58,000 is a great buy for Bitcoin. Hope this information has helped you guys. And remember that I'm just giving you guys my opinion, and these are the levels where I'm buying at. And again, please do your own research, because at the end of the day, I am not your financial advisor. This is Chris Tan. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please subscribe to this YouTube channel where I talk all about crypto, investing, money hacks, and trading. I'll see you guys on my next video.